everyone to Weekend Escapades. We are standing in front of an abandoned location right along the highway headed into Caliente, Nevada. Caliente, of course, meaning hot, the Spanish word. We're going to experience what they've done there at the depot and some of the history on Caliente. Come along and join the adventure. So the property behind me almost looks like the train depot in Caliente. It's got kind of that Spanish look to it. So if you kind of look around there, you see the archways and the stucco, the way this is put together, maybe the same contractor. A beautiful location, even though it's abandoned, the hillside behind it, very tall, very sheer, and a lot of rock falling down around here. Let's go to Caliente. So US 93 goes right through Caliente, dumps right into town, goes right by all of these residential properties. When you first come into town, that's what you're going to see. A little bit of commercial and these properties. Now, Caliente, Nevada began as a ranch settled by Charles and William Culverwell in 1901. The town's name evolved from Calientes, Spanish for hot, referring to a nearby hot spring, to Caliente when the post office was established. The Union Pacific Railroad played a significant role in Caliente's growth. With a depot built in 1923 that served as a civic center and hotel, Caliente once boasted a population exceeding 5,000, but declined with the shift to diesel locomotives and the relocation of the division point to Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're going to head to the depot very soon. But in the meantime, a little more history. Caliente was initially settled on the Culverwell Ranch, which was established to provide hay and mining for camps of Pioche and Delamar. The name change, of course, came later. The town's name changed from Calientes to Caliente, as mentioned, after a post office was established in 1901, with postal officials removing the S. And here it is. We have made it to the Caliente Depot. It looks better than I was told. Now, as I had mentioned, Caliente's population peaked at over 5,000, but declined in the late 1940s as diesel locomotives replaced steam engines, and the division point was moved to Las Vegas. Despite the decline, Caliente remains a historic town with a rich past. This depot is breathtaking. Now, as we look around this beautiful mission-style depot, you're going to notice that it looks fairly fresh. And that's due to the fact that it has just got a new coat of paint and remodeled 6 months ago. Well, close to 6 months ago. Now, last time we were here was a couple of years ago. And this building, the depot, was off-white in color. Kind of a white, Spanish style paint. And it needed a little bit of repairs. It had some fading to it. But this looks new at this point. And you can see the Union Pacific badges. Well, they look like they've all been updated as well. And I'm sure glad to see that, because this town, this shows as a landmark. When you go through town, you can't miss this depot. Let's take a look around and see what's inside here. Look at the old safe over there on the wall. It's pretty amazing. And then it's got the benches. I think those were Amtrak benches at one time. There was a people train that actually stopped here. And it looks like the inside's even been remodeled as well. And they've done a fantastic job. There's an old handcart wagon. It's right over here underneath the archways. And it looks to me like this one's just been all remodeled as well as the building, of course. But it looks like it's been well taken care of, repainted. Matter of fact, I can smell fresh paint as we're standing here. There's a little less glare looking in the window from this angle, but the archway windows, and it's just beautiful inside. One of the things that I like to see in these locations are, kind of the pieces that existed here as well. And this is that handcart I was talking about. You can see the way it turned there, and the old metal wheels or iron wheels. And again, it looks like it's just been painted. You can still smell it. Kind of funny. So I think this remodel, or the heat of the paint, or the heat from the air, on the paint, makes it smell fresh. Or the benches were just repainted, because everything looks new, even though it's older. This remodel was well done. Okay, so a little bit more depot history. So initially, a two-story wooden structure served as a train depot until there was a fire. There was a two-story wooden building, and it burnt down in 1921. Now, in 1923, the impressive Caliente train depot was erected, and this is it in all its beauty, this mission-style building. It was designed by well-known architects John and Donald Parkinson out of Los Angeles, California. The depot construction was a major investment, costing more than $80,000 at the time, which would be significantly more now, of course. And Caliente became a major division point on the railroad line for over 40 years, serving as a maintenance facility and base for helper locomotives. Now, of course, the introduction to diesel locomotives in the 40s reduced the need for Caliente's site as a major railroad hub, and maintenance operations were moved to Las Vegas in 1948. While the town's growth slowed, the depot continued to serve as an Amtrak Desert Wind location until 1997, and now serves as the Caliente City Hall, library, and art gallery. It is time. We're going to head into the Boxcar Museum. Now, the minute you're going to step in here, you're going to notice it is all about Caliente history and the railroad. A significant amount of pictures and some great antiques and memorabilia. I'm always fascinated by old telephones, and there's a couple of railroad telephones here, or telephones that existed inside maybe the building or the train station here. You'll see a lot of those. Never seen one quite like that. And the other thing is, of course, this right here. So these below me are going to be for telegraph lines. And you'll see that you can, press on them, look at them there. But those are old telegraphs right there that were used for the railroad. One, of course, a lot more intricate at the time, and the other one just kind of a single device working. An old Polaroid camera. Love the old Polaroids. The film would come out the side there, or the picture would, after exposure to light. And these are railroad, I guess, brakeman lights that they would use in the railroad. You see there's a red light on one side, green or white on the other, and the Traintown USA badge. There's one of the trains that ran through Caliente. I think that's an old surveyor's tool there to look through and line up. The old radio. So there's some great stuff here in the museum. And Keith showed us around. He knows a lot about this item right here. So this is rare. That piece right there was on a tripod. It extended up to the telegraph wire. It would hook onto the telegraph wire, and of course, it would be able to communicate with a headset, a telephone style headset. So instead of a telephone, you could hook this up to the telegraph line and pick up the telephone part of it and be able to communicate with the handset or the headset, whatever you want to call it. And that's it right there. Well, thank you, Mr. Keith Larson, for showing us around the museum. And also, I understand that Keith was mayor twice in Caliente and also worked for a significant amount of time for the railroad. Now, we're going to head on over here to the actual boxcar, the rear car to the train. Now, this whistle still blows right here. They've got it hooked up. So when you push that lever forward, it'll make a loud noise for you. And of course, lucky me, the audio didn't work for the first part of this video, so I'm sharing with you what this is all about. In the boxcar, of course, they had water. Now that water's not drinkable that's up there. That's just water they used there for the boxcar. And that is the generator. When the wheels turned around, it went over a bunch of copper wire, just like an alternator in a car would, and generated the electricity to operate everything right here in the back of the car. And they all had a little potbelly stove for heat in the back. So these things were actually like a tiny home. They had a sink and they had a communication device. This one right here that Keith is telling us about was one that they could communicate from the back of the train to the front. And there's looking from the back door, you can see out there. But these cars had little kickouts on the left and right hand side. And these seats are where they would sit and watch the train going forward to see if there was any problems with it, and also backwards to see if there was any issues. And it wouldn't be a boxcar without a latrine that just dumped onto the tracks, as you can see, straight down to the railroad tracks. Couldn't do that anymore. What a beautiful boxcar it was, with Old Glory right on the side. But one thing you'll see here that's always fascinating to me is this playground that's next to it. The merry-go-round that's over there is very old, and by today's standards, I don't think they'd put it in a playground because you'd probably break a few bones like everybody used to. It's small and fast. After looking at this, I realized that looked like the space shuttle. So it's probably newer than this one. But look at this teeny thing. And it was super fast when you get to pushing it. But you can see how that could be dangerous with kids hanging on with that. They're both arms and flying off. Not saying I did that as a kid, but I may have. And what would an old playground be without this old metal slide? You know the one that heated up so hot that when you slid down, it would burn your skin. Oh, come on now. You know we've all been there. Now this is the railroad bell. It said you can ring it twice, and that means all aboard. Well, now we have to say goodbye to Keith and the old boxcar museum and head down to Caliente proper and share with you what's downtown. But this right here would be the depot store. And the reason it existed is because it maybe had a slot machine or two in it and also sold alcohol. So the depot store across the way, and of course the depot, and then the depot store over here to sell things that maybe the depot store didn't want to. All right, so from the depot headed downtown Caliente. You can see some of the old buildings along the way. I know that this one right here on the corner, the two-story, was one of the original hotels. You can see the balcony there, the doors coming outside, and the sidetrack restaurant. We'll walk this whole sidewalk here as soon as we get parked. Okay, so right downtown, this is on the far end of it. You can see it literally stops right here. So this whole area or block, I guess few blocks, just straight as an arrow all the way to the other end of the town till the depot. And I'll flip the camera around and we'll walk these sidewalks, see what Caliente used to look like and looks like now. Look at the block this one's built out of. Two-story, all the old dried out wood up there. Kind of curious when this was built. I would think that most of this town was built in the early 1900s. Back when they had skeleton keys. Some old furniture outside. Hey, there's some Edison lights there too. Maybe they had some activity going on there. This one's been around for a while too. It looks a little bit more modern, but again, the door has the old skeleton keys. Whew. That one's seen better days. It's open in the back, but you know, and it says no trespassing. Got to kind of honor that. You can see some old doors and kind of torn apart inside, or maybe they were going to remodel it. So last time we were in town, it was on a road trip where we were just passing through, kind of did a quick little video on it, but dead ahead of me there with the white kind of porch or patios on them, that's the old boarding house, as I was told. And you'll see how many rooms are there, so kind of built like an old hotel, but the old boarding house. And last time we were here, I think people were actually occupying the space, but now it doesn't look like it. There's some mattresses on the patios. Maybe they closed it down, needs to be renovated. But also, in looking it up, the history on what's right in front of me, it said that that used to be the firehouse and jail. So the old firehouse and jail, right there. Let's get a little closer to that. It's on the corner of Hill and Bank. Don't really know. There's a U-Haul drop-off box on there. Maybe this used to be an old, maybe they used it for a business at one point here at one time. Definitely looks closed now. The paint's coming off the ceilings upstairs. Now you can't see inside. There's stairs going up, and the windows are too high here on these. But this was the old firehouse and jail at one time, is what I was told. There also is the original jail. It's kind of buried in the middle of town. We'll go see that as well. So we are headed back down the street. The boarding house, firehouse are right down there. These are the buildings I was showing you. Right down that direction is the firehouse, boarding house. And this is right on Main Street. I think it's called Main Street. It seems to be the main street in town. We'll walk right down the sidewalk. See if we can eat in the little cafe down here. I want one of those. Side by side, be able to take you out in the middle of the desert, make some great videos about going off-roading in the desert and finding ghost towns that we just can't get to with a vehicle. Maybe one day, you never know. It's pretty warm today. I don't know how hot it's going to get. It's still early, but I imagine it's going to get well above 100. This is the all aboard liquor, beer, wine, cigarettes, and slots. It's kind of a bar, a sidetrack right next to it. You can see this looks just like the older part, original part of town. Stop in and eat here at the sidetrack. We've been there before. It's the Summer Lily Salon and Wellness Clinic. I literally just called it saloon. That's because I'm in an old town. So this is it from another angle. Going east, down Main Street. Is it called Main Street? What street's it called? Clover? All right, so Clover Street, not Main Street. Let's go eat. Nice and cool in here. Roast beef and cheddar cheese sandwich and fries. Here at the Sidetrack Cafe, amazing. And you got to have a little bit of a beer and fry sauce. Delicious. Look at the chairs, how old they are. Look at the bottoms. And then they adjust by corkscrewing up. I want to know what years that would have came about, but all those chairs are matching the little corkscrew chairs to adjust the height of the chairs. Reminds me of something that would have been maybe in a school years ago. So I'll tell you, the Sidetrack Cafe, did I say side door a minute ago? Maybe the Sidetrack Cafe and restaurant, very good. Had a great time there. Right down the road to go over to the Weekend Escapades van to show you the jail. And then the row houses for the depot, for the train workers. Right down over here is that street. And right behind that 3-story building, right behind the flag, is going to be that jail. Okay, a little hot out there filming from inside the van. The Caliente is literally built with a train track right in the middle of it. So you've got the main side of town over here, or downtown area. And then, of course, this is like Main Street over here as well. You got to cross the tracks right here. Kind of easier to do this than walk the whole thing in the heat. But right across the way, there's a giant building there. That looks like that used to be a hotel or boarding house as well. But right behind it, we're going to pull in the alley. There's a jail. See all the old buildings here. Old Carl's Burgers, closed. Used to have an old neon sign there, but that was amazing at one time. We've made our way to the alley. There's the back of that, what looks like a hotel. Right over here is the old jail. You know, I would recommend that if you ever get the chance and you're on the highway or you're driving around this direction in Nevada, to be sure you stop by Caliente. Super nice folks. Stop by the depot, go through the little museum that they have, try out the restaurant, amazing food. And also I'd like to add, we put up some merchandise. This certainly helps to, I guess, keep our channel going, give us a little bit of revenue. We get a percentage of what's sold on there. We're putting up new merch all the time. this beautiful camouflage hat that I'm wearing right here with WE on it for Weekend Escapades. And also, we just designed the new shirt. Be sure you check it out in the link below. All right, so right behind me is the old Caliente jail. And you can see this jail has some miles on it. The bars in the windows. And look at those doors on the front. Now, whether those were original or not, I don't know. But they sure look old. Last time we were here, of course you can't see in there, but I think these stairs and a ramp were put in. Somebody's using it for storage. But this was the old Caliente jail, according to what I saw online. And then the newer jail would have been that firehouse and jail that we showed you earlier. You can tell by the construction on this one down below. It's literally like sandstone put together that way with some stucco on the outside. And the inside windows are boarded up now. Last time we could see in there and get some reflection on the back windows. But this is on somebody's property right next to this old fence. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a side view as well. Looks like they may have put a new roof on it, but the building itself and the bars in the window are still there. So right behind me here, we're going to head down. I believe that was Front Street down this way. I don't know what street this was. This is the main street coming in off the highway coming in. All these houses were railroad row houses. So this whole block. And at one point, they were considering tearing all these houses out, according to the gentleman we talked to earlier. Well, let's take a walk down this street and share with you all the row houses. And this is going to go all the way to the hotel. I'm going to call this a historic hotel that's across town. Now they shut it down and it doesn't exist anymore. So there's really no place here in Caliente to hot spring, but that's what Caliente was known for, is the hot springs. I guess the water runs 180 degrees, and the water that runs 180 degrees from the hot springs is actually cleaner to drink, if you could, than Caliente's drinking water. So more pure and clear, but again, it is Caliente. So here's the row houses. I'll put a date up here as to when these houses were built. You can see they're all very similar. I can't believe that at one time they wanted to tear these houses down, because these are not only historic, but nice places. Well, there's a nice little place. Look at that, the Caliente Winter House Retreat, Airbnb.com. There you go, a free plug. Anybody that's looking at doing something fun?
Old cottonwood trees.
Big cottonwood trees. Those are older ones for sure. Here's a different angle of those row houses. And look at all the giant trees behind there. Nice little shaded spot in Caliente. There's a lot of history here. I'm sure there's more than even what we're sharing. But this is kind of surface history as to what we see on the street and what still exists here. And again, we're going to head down. It's a fairly big hotel for the hot springs. Again, that is closed. So driving by the row houses. It was in the summer of 1904, the railroad appropriated some $200,000 to build several permanent structures. These included 12 homes that were the beginning of Company Row, a large roadhouse, a 200-ton coal chute, a station building, a water tank, an oil house, and an artificial ice house. Here's the sign, Hot Springs Motel. And that's been there for a while, because it is no longer open. It's here, but no longer open. There's the old train trestle. Well, this train used to run from Caliente to Pioche up this way. There was a few years back, quite a few years, that they stopped that train. I know a lot of folks were hoping that they'd keep these tracks to go from here up to Pioche or into Panaca, because that would have made a heck of a historic train ride to be able to bring some tourism here. And how much fun would that have been? Like they do in Ely, Nevada, they do the same thing. There's a sign over here with some history. Let's take a look. No history here. This is the Lincoln County off-highway vehicle information. So for four-wheel drives, ATVs, things like that, that's what people do. Kind of give you the what's going on thing, a leaflet on how to side-by-side and four-wheel drive. And of course, always take care of the turtles, desert tortoises that are out here. You got to protect them. Hardly ever see them though. All right, so this is the old train trestle. Now this is the train trestle for the train that ran from here, of course, up to Pioche, Nevada. So I think maybe they had a people train that did that, also as well as supplies, mining equipment, and being able to get ore from up there in Pioche down to this area where they could transport a lot of it. Now this is an old trestle. It appears to be plenty strong, as these are big railroad timbers, but it is an old trestle that we're walking across. Doesn't feel weak, does it? It kind of scares me. We're up about 30 feet. Me, I don't like heights, and I've got allergies really bad today as well. I think the heat in the desert kind of brings it out. A lot of pollens, a lot of wind, dust. Could be worse. So here's the hotel to the right. Now, there's still water in this and keeping it green. I guess somebody owns this here locally, but they haven't opened up the hotel part of it. But this is where it would have been. The Hot Spring Hotel. Now it's just somebody's little oasis that lives here. But you can't stay here. And there's no, I guess, available hot springs to soak in around here anymore that are, unless it's private. Maybe somebody has them on their property. But there's nothing for people to come and enjoy a hot spring hotel. No longer. Well, that's going to do it for today. Right here from Caliente, Nevada. Caliente meaning hot. And let me tell you, it is. It's a good thing we have a little breeze. You can see right behind me what the sign says. But from Caliente, in the middle of the Nevada desert, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. We'll see you in the next one.